we become such prisoners to that we just can't see it any other way. And Moshe, I mean, we say Moshe was the Anav Mikol Adam, was the most humble of all people. How else do you manage to lead? Not just to lead, but to defend, to advocate on behalf of everyone when there is so much coming against them. Right? It's incredible. It is incredible what Moshe does over here. Right? It's sobering. It's sobering. We see that when Moshe was appointing Yehoshua, right? He said, you've got to step up, right? And know how difficult it's going to be. How difficult it's going to be in a leadership position. Right? By Aaron, he said back to him, Lekach nivchart, you've been chosen for this. Right? Sometimes we need to step up, right? Even though we know that there's going to be detractors along the way. But I think, like Leah had said, right? Our takeaway needs to be our ayin, our eyes. That not to lock ourselves into a certain viewpoint, and not to focus on, the negative, and what hasn't this person done, or what have you done for us today, but to really have that ayin to see what's going on around. And when you're a parent and your little kid has a tantrum, right? And you're holding them, and they're kicking and screaming. You're getting punched, right? You're getting kicked, right? What do? You hug them tighter. You try to hug the legs also, so you don't keep getting kicked quite as hard, right? But you hug them tighter, right? And that's with kids of all ages when they throw their tantrums as toddlers or as teenagers, whatever it is, right? Because you just sometimes have to rise above and say, they're hurting, they're struggling, and it's not really about me, right? I always need to see what can I do better, but it's not really about me. And you embrace them, right? And that's what Moshe is doing. Moshe is embracing the people as we're kicking and screaming, and he's getting kicked. And he's getting kicked. But he's able to rise above and say, they're hurting, they're scared, they've received this frightening, terrible verdict, they're not going to make it to the land of Israel. And to be able to see past, to see it from the other's perspective and say, well, they're hurting, this is their tantrum, and to give that hug, to embrace and to continue on with them. And that's something that we have, right, in all walks of life. Parents, co-workers, whatever it is, children, parents, whatever it is, in all walks of life, that we deal with these, so to speak, tantrums, and to fully embrace the recognition that it's usually not about me. Right? Not that I don't need to try to improve, but it's usually not about me. And if they're hurting like this and acting in this way, let me try to see through that, to see beyond that, and not get stuck on the external manifestation of these feelings, but try to embrace. And there is no greater example for that than Moshe throughout these Parshiot. How he just does not stop advocating for those who keep coming at him. I forget which Rav it was. I forget the whole story. There was someone that had gone out of his way to hurt this person, and he went out of his way to try to help that person. Right? Trying to emulate this Moshe that we're seeing now. And his disciple, Yoshua, actually followed in that way. I'll just end off something very interesting that I saw, something very cute. Yoshua, what's his name? Yoshua? Bin Nun. Mazet bin. The low ben. Why is he called Yoshua bin Nun? Now, sometimes grammatically, instead of saying ben, we do say bin, right? Im bin hakot harasha, or let's say Jonah when he had that gourd that grew and then died. He said bin yom it grows and bin yom it dies. So we do find bin can mean ben, but why by Yehoshua is it always bin? So Ramban says bin nun means bina, binun, someone who has bina, who has this understanding, right? So Yoshua is called, grammatically it's usually ben, it can be bin. By him it's always bin, so we have this binun, so we have this understanding. And Yoshua was chosen to be the next leader because he was binun, because he had this understanding, which one needs to have in order to be the leader. The Chasam Sofer says such a cute idea on this. Right? We find that the letters take on a life of their own, so to speak, in the Torah. We find that Aleph is arguing with Bet. Why does the Torah start with Bet, not with Aleph? Right? Now, Sarai, her name was changed to Sarah. Right? Avram became Avraham. There wasn't a letter that fell off. A letter was added. Sarai, the Yud dropped off and became Sarah instead. So the sages said the Yud was displaced. The Yud was on the name of one of the great leaders of the Jewish people, and now it was displaced. So the Yud was compensated. How was the Yud compensated? Hosea became Yehoshua. His name was originally Hosea. His name became Yehoshua. Right? So the Yud of Sarai found its place. Sarai became Sarah. We lost the Yud. And Hosea became Yehoshua. The Yud got its compensation. So that's the Medrash. The Chatam Sofer says, but there were no nukudot under the Yud of Sarai. There was no vowelization. Yehoshua has a shva, has the two dots. Yehoshua. So the Yud came from Sarai. Where did the two dots come from? So he says, Ben Nun, which is three dots for the Segel, the became Bin Nun, the Chirik, one dot. So the two dots moved from the Ben. It became Bin, and it became Yehoshua. Right? So we see we have to be so careful with our words, with our letters, even with the nikudot, right? Even how we say something. Don't just be careful with what you say. Even be careful with how you say it. Okay, my friends. We'll call it over here.
From this, I learned that Jews are natural exporters.
Okay?
Because this all was exported out.
Okay, Do.
Thank you. Enjoy the trip.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Where are you going?
Yes. So the Beth Jacob Poland Israel trip.